Hi, my name is Danica Cluth, and I'm a grad student working with CSU Crops Testing. Welcome to the 2020 Virtual Bean Field Day. I'm out here in Lucerne, Colorado on Ed Crescent's field where we have the bean trial. We have invited Jerry Haynes from Jack's Bean Company out of Holyoke, Colorado to come talk about each of the varieties.
Okay, here we are with this is the virtual tour, I guess, the 2020 pinto bean plot at Lucerne, sponsored by the Colorado Dry Bean Board. We're going to take it just as we go across here with the first two varieties, are varieties that come from USDA ARS Prosser, Washington. They are being considered for release. They both have BCMV, rust, and they have a pretty broad adaptation and perform well, they say, under stress, including low soil fertility and drought. As you can see, they are pretty upright. They pod fairly high. In this plot, they're probably some of the longer season beans, but they say they are only a day or two later than their other varieties. To me, they're probably they're definitely some of the longer season ones in here. We're going to go to their cousins, basically. The one on my left is one called PT 1113-1, and they are, again, advanced lines. They are not slow darkening. They don't have that gene, but they are resistant to BCMV, rust, and again, they are good for low soil fertility and drought tolerant. They do have a semi-upright growth. Again, they are just a little bit longer. I see some green pods there, probably just a hair longer than some of the other varieties we're going to get to here in just a second. But they good yield potential in there. They look pretty nice. Palomino, it's a North Dakota variety. They use them a lot up there. They really like them. They are slow darks. They've got resistance to BCMV, but they are susceptible, and I've seen this in our plots here in previous years, really susceptible to rust. Anthracnose, we don't have a lot of problem with that, but they definitely do seem to go down with rust. The next one is another North Dakota variety called Falcon. And Falcon is it's a short vine variety. They say it's 105 day. I don't think it's that long. Looking at some of the ones in here, it's resistant to the new rust. It's also resistant to soybean cyst nematode. Don't know we have a lot of that problem, at least up here. This is the first year in the trials, so there's not a lot of 2-year data, but you'll be referring to that as you see this. I'm sure you'll have a sheet in front of you. You can look at some of that data, the 2-year data. The next variety is a variety called GTS 904. 904 has been around for a while. They really like it down in the sand. Yields well, covers the ground well. It really seems to kick the beans out. It's definitely a semi-determinate. It's a tall plant, but it will vine for a while. They say it's similar to and suitable for direct harvest. Now, it probably is, but I think most of the varieties in here at one time or another will be direct harvested because of the advent of the equipment. The guys with the steel-toed shoes and eye protection seem to be getting faster than the guys with the genetics as far as plant architecture. The next one is a variety that I like. We use it an awful lot. Jack's Bean does. It's Windbreaker. Windbreaker's got it may never ever be the bin buster of some of those varieties, but year in, year out, it's a solid, maybe never a grand slam, but a solid double and singles hitter. It's always there, and I like it. It's got good seed size, good seed color. You can market them anywhere. So we use a lot of windbreaker. Jack's Bean Company does. The next one is a new release, and it's called SV6139GR, Treasure Valley Trinidad. I had some of this seed, and we've had them harvested already. Done very, very well. They potted for us out east. They potted a little bit higher than what these are potting, and yielded very well. Those made about 3,700 pounds. So we were really happy with them the first year out of the starting blocks. Now we're in DR Wood, and DR Wood, Mark released this one. That's a 2018 variety. They say it's 97 to 100. Again, I don't think we're quite that long here. I don't know the planting date on this field, but there are longer season varieties. I don't think the way they're acting out east this year, they are that long either. That day length of season would scare me a little bit in the sand because I want that ground covered through the winter, and so I lean more towards the 95 day as the longest season, and these seem to fit that more out there as far as the 95 day. I would plant them on sandy ground, and I'd be happy with them. And Long's Peak's another one of Mark's releases. 2011, he released this variety. It's resistant to most of the prevalent rust strains that we have, BCMV. It's an upright plant, and it's been yielding in the upper percentile in all the last 2 years' plots. Again, you'll see that on the paperwork that you get or have in your hand. Its seed size is 1,198, which some of those, they say that might be a little larger seed size than what the DR Woods were. This year seems to me, with that heat that we had 2 weeks ago, all of the beans are a little smaller seeded. But that remains to be seen as we get a little longer into the harvest here, I guess. The variety here is a variety called Centennial. Again, it's a 2015 release of Mark's. Bean Kamase, rust resistant, excellent seed quality. It's pretty much upright. We seem to have it pot a little higher out east this year too than what it's potting here in the flood situation. But they're up off the ground, and we could definitely get a swather underneath them or a direct harvest. We could harvest this variety out there, direct harvest, I think. This is the other sister to the 39. We just saw a little bit ago of Treasure Valleys. This is one called Rough Rider. We've also had this one in some fields, and we really like the way it yielded this year. Got good bright seed color, good white background. It looks like it's going to be a hit for us out there, probably in narrow rows even. We think we're going to really like this variety. Good pod placement. Like I said, it's semi-determinate. It does have a short vine, but it's a good variety. Now here, this is Cowboy. Cowboy's a little quicker, so it shows at a disadvantage here. Let's see, they're going to call it a, they don't have a seed size on here, but this variety, I really like it. We've used it in sprinkler irrigation, and it looks better, and it's more impressive to me, and maybe that's because it's here we're in a little different situation. It's went down early. I don't look at it being that early to me in the plots that I've seen out east. But it's a good-looking variety out there. I like the plant habit, the plant architecture, and we've got it in some 15-inch rows out there, and I think it's going to yield pretty well. Slow darkening variety, Radiant, from Provida, ADM West. It's a good variety. Trinidad's had it out, and I know they've been using it for a while, and they seem to like it pretty well. Good seed size, nice plant architecture. It's a good one. Now we're in Monterey, and Monterey's been using it down in the sand. Works pretty good, covers the ground pretty quickly. It's got a long vine. Probably a hair longer season than some of the guys may like down in the sand, but good seed size, resistant. Yields have been good. It's yielding 115% of average in the 2 years that it's been in here. So they like the yield. Just got to make sure that when you're using the sand that you get it off in time to get that ground covered. Stickler on that. Okay, this variety here is Toriyon. It's an ADM Seed West variety, Providas. Medium maturity, which, yeah, I'll go with that. It's BCMV, resistant to rust. 98% of the two-year trial average, 98% yielder, 1195 seeds per pound, which is about average. But a lot of Toriyon's been planted in the Imperial area, and they seem to like it pretty well out there. This is Vibrant. We had Vibrant, it's a slow dark, and we had it year before last for the first time down around Yuma, and that stuff yielded 3,500 pounds. It really kicks the beans out. Pretty beans, good seed size, and we actually had awfully good yields. Here it says it's 98% of the yield average. I find it to be a little better than that out east. Okay, this is La Paz, and you know it's an upright. A lot of people have pushed it for the fact that it is a direct harvest variety, and I guess that's definitely suited for that. I find it to be a little bit smaller seeded, and I also find it to be not quite the seed quality of a lot of the varieties that are out here. That definitely will direct harvest well. Okay, these two varieties here, they're from Ameriseed, and they're called Gleam and Lumen. So I assume, but that's all the information we have. I assume that with that being said, they are probably slow darkening varieties. It does look like they pod up off the ground fairly well. It does look like they are probably at least in the same maturity as most of the longer beans that are in this plot. Probably pushing that 9,800 day range. But other than that, we don't know a lot about them. At least I don't know a lot about them.
Yeah, my name is Carlos Urrea. I am the dry edible bean breeder with the University of Nebraska. First of all, I would like to give some thanks to Sally Jones Diamond and also Jerry Johnson for giving me the opportunity to test my experimental lines. I do have briefly, in case of my bean breeding program, I'm developing beans with high yield potential, resistant to multiple diseases like viral diseases, fungal diseases, and also bacterial diseases. With earliness, beans need to be ready to be harvested by September 15, September to the 20th, because of the early frost. We apply plant architecture because the bean industry is moving towards direct harvest, and also seed quality. We have one of the best seed quality in the United States. We export a lot of beans. Right here in this variety trial, this is a really nice variety trial, replicated trial. I do have 4 of my experimental lines with the potential to be released as a cultivars. All 4 lines, there are slow darkening pinto lines. I think the bean industry is moving to, in these directions, because the beans are going to have a longer life on the shelf. Right now, right here, this is the first experimental line. This is called NE2 1737. And on the other side, we have this is a NE4 17-6. And these 2 lines, right now, I do have 5 slots of 1 pound of each in Kimberley Experimental Station. I am increasing the breed of seeds. The last line over here is 17, 18. On that particular line, I have 1 acre. This is my current release. Besides the slow darkening traits, this being that they have common rust resistant genes like UR11, UR3, UR6 combinations. They do have also common material blight resistance. There is no immunity, but it has the resistance, and also has the being common mosaic virus resistant genes. They have been performing really well across different locations, not only in Nebraska but also across the United States. And I do have some, for example, in case of the NE2 1718, until 2018 has been tested in 16 different experiments, 9 in Nebraska and 7 across the United States, and the average yield is around 3,054 pounds per acre. And also they have a really larger seeds. It's about like 1,010 seeds per pound. In case of the other 3 lines, it has been tested in less location, but they have larger, besides all the traits that I mentioned before, they have a larger seeds. Ranging from like 1,000 to 1,100 seeds per pound. Thank you again for giving me the opportunity to test this sign here in this trial.
Okay, this is the variety called Stay Bright, slow darkening. Trinidad and Larry Landy, Northern Bean, have this one together, and it's a good yielder. Got good architecture. It's a little fuller season, but we're sitting right next to a variety that's the quickest variety in here too, so it makes it look like it's a little longer season. Plenty of foliage there to get in the combine, cushion it. It's a good variety, no doubt about it. And here's a little variety that we use an awful lot, Jack. It's called Island. Looks like not so good in here. I cleaned that up a lot. It's melted down, but this variety is so short that if you lose an early crop of beans, or you're going to go after wheat harvest, maybe you're taking a feed crop off, these are probably an 85, 86 day bean, and they work. They got good seed size, good color. I've seen them make over 3,000 pounds planted at the end of June. They work, and they work well. So if you talk about rescue varieties, they've got the, when you talk about Othello and some of the shorter season ones, this variety right here has got the rust gene in it, and it just seems to work and work very dang well. We use this thing an awful lot, and we plant it later and spread the harvest out a little bit, and you're going to like it.